Alright guys, what's happening? It is Friday evening, and as you can tell, maybe from the sky, but definitely from the ground, the rain has finally started. I don't think it's rained any kind of significant rain for the whole time. My buddy Gary was here, but it finally let loose today. And it has a nice cooling effect. So hopefully we'll be seeing more of that now. Had a couple new subscribers that had some questions. And as I've said before, whenever I answer questions about things I've already talked about, I don't expect people to watch one of my videos and then go and slog back through all of them hoping to get some tidbit of information about something they're wondering about. I wouldn't want to do that even with my own videos. Once they're up, I watch them once to make sure I put the clips in the right order, and then that's about it. Then I'm just like, okay, I'm done with that. The sound of my own voice annoys me sometimes, and I'm sure some of my students at school would tell you the same thing if they were being honest. But I did want to answer those questions because they're kind of important for people who are thinking of coming here, especially those who are thinking of coming here to teach. And I guess the first one, somebody asked, how did I pick Cambodia? What was my thought process? How did I get here? That kind of thing. And the short answer is back in the United States, I was a factory worker. I worked in a factory. I made engine parts for car manufacturers. Ding ding. And I did not like my job at all. I didn't like the company I worked for. My job was boring, repetitive, the same thing day in and day out for 8 hours. No creativity. And to me, it was just a buzzkill, and that started to leak over into my personal life. I was so unhappy with my job that even after work, I didn't want to do anything. There was a lot of great people working there, and I enjoyed working with them. But I didn't really want to see them after work because it would just remind me that I had to go back the next day. So it was just really hard, and it got to the point where I just started not enjoying my life at all. I would just do things by myself in my apartment, never went out, just things to pass the time killers. So I wasn't really enjoying my life. And then I heard about TEFL and decided I was pretty good at English in... Hey, how you doing?
Nails cutting.
Oh, yeah. Got to keep those things short, man.
Yeah.
You go to scratch your face and all of a sudden you draw blood. Yeah, but I heard about TEFL and just started looking into it, you know, like what it's about. What does it mean? Could I really, as a man at that time, I believe I was about 52 years old. Could I really do this? Could I go abroad? Could I go to move to another country and actually survive doing this? And the more I looked into it, the more attractive I saw it as an option. It began with me just wondering and doing random searches on different countries My first thought was Thailand. I always said I wanted to go to Thailand. And matter of fact, I had a website. My first website was called Dave in Thailand, because that was my first choice. But then I started receiving conflicting what's the word I'm looking for? Conflicting accounts of whether or not you needed a degree to legally teach in Thailand. And this is when I also began to realize that not all TEFL certificates and the companies that run them are the same. They are not. Because I had one who was doing a hard press trying to get me to sign up for their TEFL course. They would meet me at the airport in Chiang Mai, Thailand. They have hotels that they put all their students in, so you don't have to pay rent while you're taking your TEFL course. You just have to bring enough money for you to live on. But since you don't have rent, they said it would be really cheap. But when I started asking questions back and forth about having a degree, because I'd read online, you have to have a degree to legally teach in Thailand, that's when I started getting conflicting stories. Because they said they would guarantee employment after my TEFL course. They never answered me directly, do you need a college degree to legally teach in Thailand? That was a very simple question, and they kept dodging it and just kind of inferred, it doesn't matter, we know people, we work with the government, we can guarantee you'll get a job, have enough money to live. And it all seemed a bit shady. So then I found the International TEFL Academy because I did a Google search on what countries can I teach in with a TEFL without a college degree. And their site popped up. I called the advisor. I called the number. I was just inquiring at that point. But by the end of our conversation with Amanda from the International TEFL Academy, and I have her number if anybody's thinking about getting a TEFL, I will give you her email and her phone number. You can reach out to her. She knows her stuff. But by the end of that conversation, probably a half hour, at the end I signed up. I hadn't planned on signing up. I hadn't planned on getting out my credit card and doing this thing. But that's what happened, because I liked what I heard. She was very upfront. She said, no, you cannot teach in Thailand legally without a degree. And then she gave me a list of options. And one of those was Cambodia. And of course I knew where it was, right? It's right next door to Thailand. So I changed my mind. I said, guess where I'm going? Going to Cambodia. And then I started saving money. I upped the percentage going into my 401k at work, so I could cash that out when it was time to quit. I'd never been here before. The only traveling I'd done previously was to Germany when I was in my 20s in the military. I was in Germany for 2 years. Other than that, I hadn't stepped foot on a plane since then. Never left the country. I think I only left my state like 2 or 3 times in the ensuing years. So yeah, it was a big move, but I committed to it. I decided to do it. I found my TEFL course both rewarding and very challenging. It's not, I'm telling you, you get what you're paid for. If you're taking a TEFL from a Groupon code for 50 bucks, don't be surprised if you get to your destination and schools look at you like you're crazy. Like this is not a TEFL that we will that we want to deal with. They are not all the same. Just a heads up. But anyway, I finally passed my TEFL course and I kept working, kept saving money. Even started a GoFundMe and got a great response from that. And when I hit about almost $9 grand, I pulled the trigger. I told my job, I gave my 2 weeks notice, started selling all my stuff, got all that taken care of, bought a one-way plane ticket, landed in Siem Reap on January 2nd last year, and I have not looked back. I know that seems crazy, and I don't advise that for most people. You probably want to go to a country first, check it out. What if you hate it? What if you don't like it? Well, that's why I saved that much money. I could have gotten by with just a, $1,500, $2,000 would have done it. But I wanted to be sure if something happened, I had the extra money as a backup. I get here, I hate it. I better think of something else. But that has not been a concern. I'd love to hear from the beginning. Still do. She's trying to get me to cross this busy street in front of all these cars. I think she's trying to kill me. That wasn't a denial, by the way. Yeah. Anyway, so I wound up in Cambodia. We're gonna get across the street here. So I'm gonna put this away so I don't get hit. Talk to you guys in a minute. All right, made it across alive. Traffic jam up here. Lots and lots and lots of bikes and cars all the way back there. They just keep coming and coming and coming. Just to let you know, starting tomorrow is the King's birthday holiday. The King, as you can imagine, is a very, very respected, well-loved, honored man in this country. It is called the Kingdom of Cambodia, after all, for a reason. And it's his birthday. And they celebrate this year from Saturday until Wednesday, which means I have no classes. I'll still do my home weekend classes, but there will be no classes for me on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. People will go out and celebrate and have a good time celebrating the birth of their king. And I think that's probably why we got this traffic jam here. Plus the fact that it's a little early and everybody's getting out of work and school. And so you have this, and of course we have to go over there. We're going to go from here over to there. How are we going to do that, you say? We're going to do that carefully. Look at this, watch this. Well, let me do this. Weave in, weave out, weave in, weave out, weave in, weave out. Whoa. There we go. Looks like we both made it. All right, but anyway, that was a really long story on how I got to Cambodia, and I apologize for that. I didn't realize it was that long. But first day of teaching, he wanted to know what's it really like, your very first day. I had never taught before, by the way. What was it like? You're fine. It's fine. You're excited, but there is that moment. There is that moment when you step into your first classroom and everything becomes real. I mean, it becomes real quick. All of a sudden you realize I've trained for this. I have my certificate. I've looked forward to this. I've saved for it. I saved for a year and a half, actually, to get that money to come over here. I planned, I studied everything I could about the country and the culture and what to expect. I did my homework. And when I stepped foot into that first class, and there were like 8 kids sitting there. Middle school was the first class I taught, by the way, middle school aged children. And I introduced myself, and I looked upon their faces, and they sat there with their hands on their desk looking up to me. And I realized at that moment, oh man, they expect me to deliver. I have to actually teach them something. It was nerve-wracking. And my very first thought was, you know, maybe I should just go back home. Very nervous. Like, I don't know, what if I do a horrible job? All those thoughts came running through my head in a matter of a second. What if I do a horrible job? What if they go tell somebody I'm not a good teacher? Is this going to ruin my reputation before I even get started? But then I just started talking, and they had a book, and so I just started reading over the lesson. I did not have a chance to even go over the lesson really before I started, but it all fell together. And after that first one, I felt so good after that first class. I did. I felt excellent. It's a great feeling because you got that first one down. And I've loved doing it ever since. Everything was okay. All my fears were unfounded. Just the way my sometimes neurotic brain thinks. Always thinks the worst and hopes for the best, you know. So yes, you probably have butterflies in your stomach, and first couple of weeks you might be a little lost, or you might feel a little lost, but you'll get into a routine like anything new you do. Eventually it just happens. Like, you go to school, it's a job. Yeah, once you get past all the initial excitement and fears, it's a job. You just go in and do your job every day. And hopefully you like it as much as I do, because I don't mind going to work now for the first time in a very, very, very long time. Many, many, many years. There were some other questions, and I'm going to get to them. Phnom Penh or Siem Reap? If you want to get a job as easily and quickly as possible, Phnom Penh. Definitely. A lot more schools, a lot more openings, always advertising, always hiring. But what I tell people is, you have to think about this. After your day is done, and you're done working, if you find a job there, you also want to be able to enjoy the city you choose to live in. Because otherwise, what's the point, right? You got to have your downtime, you got to have your off time, and you want to be able to enjoy the sights and sounds and tastes of where you're living. And Phnom Penh is much bigger, more populous, and it is more modern also. I'm not saying any of these things are bad, but there are a lot more people. There is a lot more traffic. There is, a higher rate of petty crime. There are bag snatchings, some violent incidences that do happen. Oh, yeah, look at these roads. It's raining again. You gotta walk through the mud. All right, but yeah, that's why Siem Reap is going to be a little bit more of a challenge to find a job. People like living here, so teachers come here to apply, and they're all applying for the same jobs. So it might be a bit more challenging, but it's still possible. The person who hustles the most is going to get the jobs. You do not find a job beforehand here in Cambodia. That's another thing I will touch on. The way you find a job here is to hit the ground. Dress very professionally, have copies of your resume, have a passport size photo attached to each copy of your resume and cover letter, and include copies of your TOEFL certification. They do not ask for, unless you claim to have a college degree, they're not going to ask for that. Some bigger schools do require a bachelor's degree. Yes, I apologize for that. My phone died mid-speech. We're headed downtown. I charged it downtown. Now we're back home, of course, as you can see. But yeah, some bigger schools do require a bachelor's degree in addition to your TOEFL. But most of them, the majority of them, do not. There are plenty of schools that are just looking for native English speakers with a TEFL certificate. And that's the thing you should keep in mind, which is why I said earlier, hey buddy, the people that hustle are the ones that get the jobs. Makes sense. I see a lot of posts in the expat groups. What is this? Oh, it's a bat. There's a bat. Whoa. Okay, I've never seen that before since I've been here. Oh, you can't see it. There's a bat. A little baby bat in our hallway. Anyway, let me show you the sights of my streets at night. And I lost my train of thought. But yes, native English speaker, you have a TEFL certificate from a legitimate TEFL school, and you will be good to go. Like I said, where you live is, in my opinion, just as important as, you know, just having a job. If you have a job in a place and you don't like the place you live, then to me, it kind of defeats the purpose. But that's just me. If your whole goal is just to move, you want to live in Cambodia, you want a job, then I would definitely recommend Phnom Penh. And check out my friend's channel, Halfway Round the World. Check it out. He lives in Phnom Penh. He's been teaching in Phnom Penh for a long time. He has some very good information about not only Phnom Penh, but teaching there, and you can always reach out to him if you have questions. He's a good guy. But other than that, I can't think of any other questions people had. So I hope that covers it all. If there's anything you want me to discuss or touch on, leave a comment below, and I'll try to include it in the next video. Work permits, that was another thing. Work permits are easy. When you come here, you arrive at the airport, you're going to get either a visa with a T or an E. If you're coming here to teach, you want the E visa. The E visa, otherwise known as the business visa or the ordinary visa. They all mean the same thing. In about a month, it's good for 1 month. After a month, you will have to extend your visa. You want to extend it. If you already have a job, you want to extend it to an EB. B as in boy. But if you're one of those like me who wanted to come over here, take a little vacation first, then when you extend it, you want the EG. G as in girl. You want to extend that to an EG, you can get up to 6 months. And that is also known as the looking for work visa, if you don't already have a job. But the work permit, you will need a letter of employment from your school. You will need to have a physical, which is about $15 to $25, depending on where you go. And you will have to get a residency letter from your local Sanghat or commune chief, the area you live in. Each area has a chief. Anybody that lives in that area, any local that lives in that area should be able to tell you where to go and get that. And they will help you out. That is going to require some money. Not a lot, but you're going to have to pay a little something in order for him to sign off on your lease saying that you live there. Once you have all that documentation, you can go and get your work permit. It takes about a month to process. And then you will need the EB visa. So keep that in mind. You will have to change visas at some point, is what I'm saying. I hope that helped a little bit. I don't want to make this overly long, but I hope that helped answer some of the questions you might have about living and working. I'm going to see if I can find that bat. Oh, there it is. Oh, it just flew over the railing. Oh, I don't know if you saw that or not. Anyway. I hope that helps. Like I said, if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below. Oh, she just turned off the light. It's too dark. Too dark. All right. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one.